G'day everyone and welcome back to another video on the channel, and in this video I'm going to be going through my round 19 AFL tips and predictions, as well as obviously going through my round 18 predictions and the big calls. So let's just get straight into round 18, see how well I went. And it was an alright round for tipping. There were a couple of upsets, but it was a predictable round in that way. I did tip Geelong obviously in the video to beat Freo, got that one correct. Tipped Brisbane to beat Richmond like most did, got that one incorrect. Tipped St Kilda to beat Port Adelaide, which is a bit of a dumb mistake. But I tipped Bulldogs to beat Gold Coast, Melbourne to beat Hawthorn, even though it was a draw. Essendon to beat North, Carlton to beat Collingwood, West Coast to beat Adelaide, and then GWS to beat Sydney, which got incorrect. But I should have got, so according to this I got 6 though. Doesn't make much sense how I got 6 if according to this I got 5. I did get 6 though in the normal tipping anyway, so it didn't really matter. And quickly we'll go through the big calls. So in Freo v Geelong, I predicted there to be 5 goals scored by the Cats in the last quarter. They only scored 3. In Richmond v Brisbane, I predicted Zach Bailey to have 20 more touches and 3 or more goals. And I was sort of close. He had 2 goals, 2 and 16 possessions. In the next game, in St Kilda v Port Adelaide, I predicted there to be 28 goals scored combined in the game. And I got that one incorrect as well, so not looking great to start off with. In Gold Coast v Bulldogs, I predicted the Suns to lead at halftime, and I was sort of close, but they were leading at quarter time, just not halftime. They were down by I think 11 points. In Melbourne v Hawthorn, I predicted the Melbourne Demons to have 15 marks inside 50, and if I'm going to be completely honest, I don't know if this one's correct or not, so I guess we'll rely to see on the other ones. North v Essendon, I predicted both teams combined for 200 or more. It looked on track early on. I think there were 4 goals in 5 minutes, but then it sort of slowed down the scoring, so another one incorrect. In Carlton v Collingwood, I predicted there to be 9 or more lead changes, and I got that one incorrect. In West Coast Adelaide, I predicted Tex to kick 6. He only kicked the 1, I think. And then the last game, GWS v Sydney, I think I tipped Amadi to kick 3 or more, and he didn't even kick a single goal. So, look, it wasn't a great round, so it didn't even matter about the marks inside 50 because I didn't get that correct. Got to do another punishment. Let's quickly have a look at which one for this round I've got to do that got the most like. Gee, so it was pretty split between the two. AFL for life, his punishment was meet up with Shannon Humphries and for lunch have his least favourite meal. And then Bailey the artist with 123 likes before a game awkwardly danced for 1 minute outside the front of the G gates. Now, I'm not meeting Shannon Humphries, alright? He lives in South Australia. Screw that. I'm not doing. It'd be funny, but he can come down to Victoria and then we can do that. But I'll do the second one. Bailey the Arse, 123 likes. Yeah, I'll be able to do that. Just once COVID's free and all that, so wait until COVID and all that. But I will be doing last week's punishment from Lesser Dog, which was, write a letter to the AFL asking them to create a team based in Shanghai. Alright, I've written the letter. I don't want to go through it all. Maybe I'll let you pause it if you want to read through it. Yeah, let me know down below if you want me to maybe read this out in a video on my second channel. Maybe to get that out tomorrow or something like that. But I'll give you a bit of a. So pretty much, dear Gillam, I didn't even know how to spell the guy's name at the time. Couldn't remember. Pretty much explaining why I want a team in China. The fact that you know, there's a lot of interest in China. The 30 people there, and coronavirus. No one gives a stuff about that. That'll be fine. And then I did explain maybe if they want to expand to a 20-team comp or just get rid of Gold Coast. And then to finish it off, I let Gillen know that Tanush's a Carlton fan. Anyway, that's my letter. That's the punishment. Please kill me. Alrighty guys, so yep, did the punishment and all that. Let's quickly now go through my round 19 tips, and this, a few changes in this round obviously due to COVID. I think a day ago the fixtures were completely different, but now they've been changed up. So yeah, this is slightly different to how it once was, but it doesn't really matter because that's the season. We have to expect the unexpected. So let's get into the first game. We've got Port Adelaide taking on Collingwood. Friday night footy. This one's starting at a bit earlier time, so I think it's 7:20 Vic time, or 6:50 South Australian time, and that's obviously to make way for the Olympics, which is starting at the same time. Yeah, Port v Collingwood, Adelaide Oval. Last week, Port had a pretty gritty win against the Saints. They were pretty good, let's be real, and they had some good players out. You got here, I think they had Butters, Rosie, Dersmer, and a few other key players not playing. So in paper, theoretically, the Saints probably should have got that win. So it was disappointing from the Saints' behalf of the Power. They just keep winning against the sides below them. And then Collingwood, well, they were very disappointing after half-time. They just didn't put the Blues to the sword in the first half. They had a lot of chances. You know, they obviously were the better side for that first half and a bit. But then they'd let the Blues get back into the game. And you know, that last quarter was just complete smashing. I think they kicked the last 7 or 8 goals. I don't completely remember how it turned out, but yeah, it was a smashing. The Blues ended up winning by 5 goals. So this is a pretty easy tip on paper. The Power are definitely a better side, and they are pushing for a top 4 spot. It's a must-win game for them. They're at home. They're playing against the bottom 10 side, which they have beaten. I think their record against bottom 10 sides now at 11-0. So it's just a must-win, and they'll most likely win this. I don't see the Power. So the Pies getting anywhere close in this one. They might challenge for a bit, but I'll go put Adelaide to win this one by 25 points with my big call, Mitch Georgiades bags as boots a bag of 4. So we'll move on to the next game, and you know, you never know, this might be scheduled to change, but I don't think so. Carlton v North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium. I did cover them briefly. They were very impressive after half time. You know, the first half I just was looking at and was like, there's no run, there's no movement, they're not really doing much. But then that second half, they just sparked. They turned things around. Walsh, again, brilliant stuff. 39 touches in the goal. Mackay kicked 4 goals in that last quarter. It was just on fire. So the Blues, sneaky chance for finals is still alive. They win all their remaining games, they'll be making finals. And they've got I think they've got the easiest fixed out run home. So there is a chance. You know, last week against Essendon, they took it up to them for pretty much all game. And Essendon are most likely going to make finals at this rate. So they're doing pretty well. They're exciting to watch. I love watching their young players. You know, Taryn Thomas is doing well. Zerha, you know, Anderson. I don't know. I just enjoy watching North Melbourne for some reason. They're actually a pretty decent side. But, you know, theoretically on paper, the Blues should win this game. But there could be an upset to the fall on this one. You never know. But I'm going to go safe here. I don't think the Roos are going to win this one. In fact, I have a feeling the Blues will sort of play like they did against Fremantle at Marvel. I think they'll sort of run away with this one in a way, win the game by 33 points. With my big call will be that there are 10 goals combined scored in any quarter. And in the next game, we move to the Gabba, and this is the second Q clash between Brisbane and Gold Coast. Obviously, the first Q clash was a bit of an underwhelming game. They're all really, it's not a you know, clash really that you want to be watching. It's not a very exciting clash. No real history involved in the two sides. No real hatred, if I'm going to be completely honest. But yeah, the first game, it was a 90-point smashing towards the Lions. But this could be a lot closer. The Lions are in some pretty poor form at the moment, whilst the Suns, their form has been pretty good. I mean, they beat the Tigers, then they went to Mars, they beat the Giants, and they had a very gallant performance against the Dogs, only losing their game by 11 points. I thought they were pretty impressive to stick with them for the whole game, because the Dogs did have a few players in. I think Dunkley was in as well. They almost had their full list, the Dogs, and they only lost the game by 11. Brisbane, again, were pretty disappointing. Obviously, couldn't back up their poor performance against the Saints the week before against the Tigers. Many thought they'd win this game. It was played at Metricon, but it should have probably still given them the advantage. So obviously goes to show that the Lions can't play Metricon very well, bar the Q clash earlier this year. They did go down by, I think it was 20 points in the end. So this is a must-win for them. If they want to make top 4 and still be, you know, a genuine chance for the flag, you know, you've got to be beating Gold Coast. I know they're in good form, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go the Lions by 7 points with my big call. Brisbane kick 15 or more behinds throughout the game. Now, the next game we have, this is a game that's scheduled to be, initially 7:40 at night, but now it's a bit earlier. I've got West Coast v St Kilda at Optus Stadium. Now, this is a really, really massive lineup. This is a really, really crucial clash. Fuck off. Whichever team wins this game will most likely be more likely to make the top 8 than the other. St Kilda went down by Port Adelaide last week by 13 points. It was a very disappointing game. You know, we had our chances, we just couldn't capitalise. We made too many mistakes up forward. You know, in that first quarter as well, we had all these chances that we just really couldn't take them. And then Port, you know, took a few of their chances. I think we scored 0 goals, 8 set shots. So, yeah, it's just disappointing the Saints that we played like that, because we probably should have won against Port. Port are a good side, but it was just a big game for us. If we would have won that, we would have been in the 8. But now we've got to go away travel to Optus against to play against West Coast, who had a pretty decent win against the Crows. They were started slow, but then they eventually found their form. Won the game by 7 goals, but you can't really take too much out of that game. They were playing Adelaide, who are one of the worst sides of the comp this year. So I think this will be an interesting one. I think this will be a close one. I actually think we will take it up to the Eagles. But I'm going to predict something similar to happen like in the Crows game. I'm going to predict West Coast to win the game by 5 points, with my big call being that St Kilda choke the game in any way. Just have that funny feeling we'll just mess things up. Next game we have is between Adelaide and Hawthorn at Adelaide Oval, at a bit of a weird time slot as well. I think this is like in the middle of the 2 games. Both sides probably expected to be bottom 4. I think Adelaide are now in the bottom 4. Obviously, Adelaide are in some pretty poor form. I don't recall I think their last win was actually against the Saints. So, yeah, not very great, the fact that we lose to the Crows. But the Crows haven't been in great form. Went down to the Eagles, who are in arguably worse form by 42 points, but they were sort of gallant in the first half, just sort of slipped away. Hawthorn been very impressive. Unfortunately, I didn't get to catch this game. I was filming a couple videos. You know, no one expected them to come close to the Ds. We all expected there to be an 8-9 goal win to the Ds, but no, the Hawks came back at the end after a fast start from the Ds, and it was a draw. So, you know, that's impressive. If anything, based off that, I'm going to be tipping the Hawks, I reckon. I'll go Hawthorn to win this game by 13 points. I just think right now they're a slightly better side. And my big call will be that Tom Mitchell and Rory Laird combined for 70 or more touches. And the next game, which is arguably the biggest game of the round, we've got Melbourne taking on the Western Bulldogs at the MCG. Unfortunately, just like the previous matchup, it won't be with any crowds again. So, you know, it's very unlucky. These 2 sides have played twice now, and they're going to be without any crowds because of COVID, which is pretty unfortunate. Yeah, this will be a massive lineup. I think whoever wins this will probably finish or stay on top of the ladder at the end of the round. I don't know. But yeah, massive lineup. The Ds last week, you know, a bit disappointing that they, you know, went down to Hawthorn. Now they've, you know, lost points to Hawthorn, Adelaide, GWS, and Collingwood. Like, they're all teams that are not going to make finals this year. So it's pretty bizarre, the fact that they afford to do that. And, you know, based on their form, they'll probably go to GMHBA and Optus and win those games. And I reckon they'll probably win this one as well. I mean, they had all the answers for the Dogs last time, and I feel like something similar might happen here. I think this will be a really good matchup. Don't know if it'll be high scoring. I feel like, you know, the D's defense will not allow the Dogs to score as much as they usually do. But I'm going to go the D's here, just like they did previously. It's at the MCG as well. We'll give them a bit of an advantage. So I'll go the D's to win this game by 16 points. Big call, something a bit different. Tom McDonald kicks the first goal of the game. Now we move on to the Sunday game. I don't really know the time slots exactly, but the first game I'm pretty sure is between Sydney and Freo. I think this is 12:30, this game. Sydney last week, well, they just had everything against them pre-game. I think Callum Mills and Harry Cunningham were both late outs due to a COVID breach, or not a breach, they were just in some a tier 2 or something like that. They were in a COVID environment, whatever, so they can't play for the next couple of weeks, I think. You know, nothing went their way, all the fixture changes, all the stadium changes, and I think at one stage the Giants were up by 36 midway through the second. I was like, Jesus Christ, what a great tip I pulled off there. You know, no one thought the Giants would have won, but I'm like, oh, finally get this tip right, what an upset. And then comes the Swans. The Swans, I think, kicked 9 goals in a row to just storm back in an insane comeback. Didn't really catch this game a lot. I watched a bit of it, but Jesus Christ, the Swans, they're in some immense form. They're in some terrific form. I did not think they'd come back from the position they were in. And now I think they've now won 4 or 5 games in a row, and they're just in some brilliant. The Dockers, well, you know, they probably played the opposite to how the Swans played. They were just disappointing. They couldn't do it at home. You know, finally they got given a prime time slot, and they sort of failed. Disappointingly, went down by 69 points against Geelong, who I probably think right now are the premiership favourites. Yeah, it wasn't great for the Dockers, and I'd arguably say that's their almost puts a line through their chance of making finals this year. Almost. I mean, they still have a chance, quite obviously. But, you know, this being obviously, I think now at Metricon, not at GMHBA, I still think the Swans should win this one pretty comfortably, if anything. I'll go the Swans to win it by 18 points with my big call. Lance Franklin kicks 5 or more goals as he inches his way closer to getting the big 1,000. But the next game is Geelong taking on Richmond at the MCG. I still don't know why this isn't at GMHBA. I think it's quite unfair towards the Cats. I mean, no crowd. Why would it matter? But anyways, it's at the G, so it gives the Tigers a bit of an advantage here. Geelong last week were just super impressive. They got the job done convincingly by 69. They went down there. They went up to Optus with all those circumstances, and they, just got a great win. So yeah, they're in some really good form as well. Probably them and the Swans are the informed teams of the comp. Richmond as well, they were pretty good after a terrible last few weeks. They got the job done against the Lions, which opens up their season. They have a chance now in top 8. In fact, they're probably going to make it at this rate. Obviously, you would tip the Cats. There's no reason why you wouldn't. But I feel like you got to tip an upset, and the Tigers are the sort of team to do something like this. You never know. Maybe they still got some sort of juice in them in this season. I know they don't have Martin out for the year after the suspected kick, which obviously wasn't a kick, it was a bump. But you know what? I'll go for the upset in this one. Geelong should win it, but being at the G, you never know. I'll go Richmond to win the game by 9, with my big call being that Richmond come back from halftime and win. And the last game of the round, which the location and time slot are yet to be confirmed. This is Essendon taking on GWS. Yeah, should be a pretty good game. Essendon last week got the job done against North. It wasn't a very convincing win, but North are a much improved side. So, they're ticking away nicely. They just can't really drop too many games if they do want to play finals. And GWS, well, they'd be pretty disappointed with how they finished that game off. They were up by 35, I think it was, at one stage, and they choked. They choked it. It's a sort of an even game, but considering it's an Essendon home game, Essendon have more to play for. I think the Giants season is done now. They've sort of just thrown it away at the end. I'll go Essendon to win this game by 5 points. I'm going to predict it to be a very close seesawing contest, which explains my big call, which will be that the margin doesn't exceed 18 points at any time. So there we go, guys. Those were my round 19 tips and predictions. If you're new to my channel, new to the tipping series, you can comment down a punishment that you want to see me do if I get 3 or less big calls correct in the video, which I've only done once. So, the one that's the most appropriate with the most likes, I'll do in an up and coming video. But there we go, that was it. Quickly go through my tipping comp. I accidentally missed the Freo Geelong game, which is disappointing. So I'm 69th out of 825, and I think I'm on 103 total points. And so the few people who got a perfect score were OG Eagles, Dark Jones, B2BH, Christian 21 something, Joel 28, and yeah, the person on top right now is Harry Sinnott with 111. It's going to be a tight race to see who gets the job done. But yeah, appreciate everyone for watching and all that, and I'll see you guys soon in my next video.